All right, everyone. Flight 2 with the Raw 700. This will be my last flight of the day with this. Just draining the rest of the battery lipos that I have. And these are the last two that I have for this bird. I didn't even bring my charger to the field today because I just wanted to, I didn't want to try and do too much today. So we're gonna do more of the same as the first flight, but maybe I'll widen it out a bit and maybe try and show everyone, I guess, how those, you know, kind of back and forth flights can morph into much bigger figure eights. Again, I'm not gonna take credit for that. Very much like I learned from the John Salt video, so definitely look those up if you want to see more. So again, we're just going to the side, kind of stopping it, turning it around, and then coming back, you know, and just very slow forward flight. You can see that the wind, this is what I was talking about in the last video, you can see how it just, because of the gust of wind, it picked it right up in altitude. Now, I am much more comfortable with, you know, those type of movements now, and as I've said, working on compensating for them than I was when I was a newer pilot. But when you're new, those are the things that can be really daunting. So here what we're gonna do, instead of stopping and just kind of turning on the spot, we're gonna kind of widen it out a bit, and you can come back. That wasn't exactly a great circle, but again, they're not meant to be perfect figure eights. We're just showing how this type of practice can lead to figure eights. And then as you pick up speed, you will need to bank it a bit to get it turned. So there it is. Again, we're not they're far from what you would call or visibly say, oh, those are figure eights, but it's the beginning of it. As you pick up speed, you know, and outward turning figure eights are the easier ones to learn first, because for many of us, the tail in orientation is what we're comfortable with. When you start turning it nose in, it can become, you can lose orientation quite quick. Nice thing about this heli is, you know, because of its size, definitely not going to lose, you know, you're not going to lose it in the air. With that said, don't get deceived. You can still very much lose orientation. As we're doing this, just because this is really what I would consider to be a very beginner type of, look at me like I'm not a beginner, but an extreme beginner type of practice and maneuver, I found that when I was doing this early on, you know, I was trying to control the heli's every move, and what you learn to do is you learn to let the heli fly. You know what I mean by that is you don't need to make inputs. See there, we'll start with the forward flight. With the forward flight, you don't need, you know, you just need to get it started moving in the direction, and then you don't really need to make many, you know, slight input changes, but you let it fly. As opposed to again, when I was new, I felt like I needed to control every twitch and you know, it needed to move based on what input I was giving it, but that's not true. You give it that one, you know, the bit of input to get it moving in the right direction, and then you adjust, but you don't need to control the flight. You need to be comfortable with the heli moving. And that will then translate into the comfort level of the heli moving while it's turning. Because again, we at the beginning, we feel we need to control its every move, even in the corner, which is not true. You got to let it fly. And that's, I think for me, that's what led to me not being comfortable with speed, because I felt like if it was speeding up, meaning it was just flying, that I wasn't in control. Not true. But and you know, as I'm saying all of that, I'm clearly not completely out of that with this bird, because I am still, you know, you probably can't see it in the video, but you can see some of the twitchy corrections I'm still doing, you know, trying to control the flight more than I should, instead of letting the bird fly and not controlling it, but flying under control, if maybe is a better way to put it. You know, flying the heli. All right, feel good about that. There we go. Let's bring her in again now.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2.
Woohoo! Successful flight with the SAB 700. The other adjustment I'll just make note of that I'm working on here is I'm just taking note of what the capacity is being reported here. And although in the perfect world you would love to see perfect capacity reported, I have not found that yet, and that's fine with me. I really could care less what the number is, as long as the number is consistent. And if it's consistent, then I can rely on that and set an alarm based on that. So for example, it says, I don't know if you see that, but it says 2087 milliamps. Now when I charge this, I might put back 3000 milliamps. It doesn't matter, as long as every time it says 2080 some odd milliamps, it's around 3000, then I can set a timer by it and I can rely on it. So that's some of the stuff that I kind of need to dial in with this bird. But cool, that's it for this heli today. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.